This is Caribbean Vibes.
Hark the heritage sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, poor and sinners reconciled. Joyful only nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With an angelic host proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. I love the J-I-N-G-L-E bells. I love the J-I-N-G-L-E bells. I love the J-I-N-G-L-E B-double-L-S. I love the J-I-N-G-L-E bells. Sing it. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Look, we dashing through the snow on a one-horse open sleigh. All the fields of Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him. Oh, come let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt his word. A trail of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder break a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees. Oh yeah,
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all in nations rise, join the triumph of the skies. With an angelic host proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. I love those J.I.
Brighten up prosperously, yeah. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, yeah. Have a bright and a prosperous new year. We celebrating Christmas once more. Then the breeze blow through across the door. I have nothing much to offer, but to send love and greetings to you, to all the leaders of this country, doctors and nurses too, teachers, police and firemen. I'm sending my greetings to you. Merry Christmas.
Oh yeah. Get it. Hey. Alright. Christmas is big business, they say, and me a doubting. You see all I'm sundry, let's pack up the grocery. Women always want new curtain, and the house want repainting. So the damn businessmen could win. They say that Christ is born on Christmas Day. They say that is a pagan holiday. I say
I don't even look at those numbers.
cause when I see the
Boy,
it's Christmas again. All man jack stretching their hands.
boy, it's Christmas again.
It's the only time of the year.
Boy, it's Christmas again.
The rich that show the board that they care.
Boy, it's Christmas again.
The rest that be happy. They never see. Christmas that unite all family.
Boy, it's Christmas again.
Sing it to me.
Boy, it's Christmas again.
Come on.
Yes, indeed. Pleasant good night to all and sundry. Of course, it is the penultimate night before, of course, Friday. And you know, on Friday, Lennox Smith is absent from what I consider to be duty. I wouldn't say a wall because I'll be back on, of course, on Saturday and twice on Sunday. So in a sense, I have been compensating for the disappearance on a Friday night. That being as it may, or the non-appearance on a Friday night. That being as it may, we have, of course, some serious business to treat with. And I thought it was important, of course, to merely retroactively to confirm for you. And I said that, in fact, I thought that someone in cyberspace was getting me vexed, or they were getting angry that I'm able, of course, to make statements such as Dr. Rowley is a rapist, that, of course, the company that he claims, or the companies he claims that were contracted by his administration, by the PNM administration, by the Rowley-led administration, never, of course, worked on Balize House. And I told you, don't get me vexed, because I will prove it to you. And of course, somebody got me vexed, so let me tell them one time. Let me show them one time. Yes, Jusamco, a concrete pouring piece of equipment, pouring concrete on Balize House when it was still at foundation level. Look at there was nothing to be seen. Everything was, of course, at the level of the car park, which was used, or which has been used to construct that monstrosity of 5-story tall of concrete, steel, wood and blocks. Monstrosity. That is. And let me tell you this as well. Let me give you some background so you will go and check it. It was a half-page ad, obviously put there by the company itself. And notice, those writing there are not mine. New PNM headquarters, courtesy. Yeah. Because one can say that that kind of courtesy is in the realm of reciprocity. You know what I say? I say that kind of courtesy that was in a newspaper ad saying that they are assisting the PNM, that clearly one can conclude, having regard to what Rowley has said in public only recently during the course of the local government elections, when the question of Balize House and that despicable, clearly some that is attached to it, when Dr. Rowley said that the PNM was bankrupt in 2015 and it was owing $4 million, and here it is, they are constructing a building, edifice, monstrosity close to $100 million, and there you have it, Jusamco. And it doesn't end there. The fact of the matter is that it was Jusamco that had the project, the contract to construct that piece of highway leading to Point Fortin that fell into the swamp below. Rowley, and they have the moral authority to talk about anybody, even if the people were guilty as they are suggesting. But we know it is a phantom. It is, of course, an exercise in hallucination and illusion. Look at it, Jusamco, and they put their logo in the front on the newspaper. It was a newspaper advertisement to demonstrate their appreciation. Why would they do that? Because one has to now conclude, having regard to what Rowley said at Constantine Park and elsewhere, and what we are seeing there, and what transpired on the highway to Point Fortin, one can only say it is, of course, payback. It is a kickback. It is, of course, a question of reciprocity. I scratch your back and you scratch mine. And, of course, to the tune in this case of not only millions of dollars, but millions of waste dollars, because the piece of highway fell into the swamp below. Let's not waste time. And I don't make joke. This is not a time to make joke. And therefore, you sycophant, shut up. Shut up. Because your boss man, your leader, you have an adoration for a rapist and a pedophile. Can't talk to me, and you cannot, of course, make sense on attempting to negative and to generate mischief. You can't even make mischief on a live like this. You can't even do that. I say you can't even make mischief. You sycophants and you apologists, and are coming after, of course, next year will be the year for dealing with the religionists and those persons of the cloth and those, of course, civil society entities that are supposed to be part and parcel of the moral fabric of the society and abandoning their responsibility and leaving it, of course, to people like myself who are not connected in that way to the cloth, but of course, but have to work overtime in order, of course, to bring some sanity to the situation and to let people understand that what is taking place in this country with respect, of course, to nepotism, cronyism, criminal behavior, deaths and murders are real. And, of course, promoted and nurtured, buttressed and fomented by the Keith Rowley administration and the PNM. We're telling me about you never had what? I don't get me vexed before I play when he said that he never, no company employed by the government worked on Balize House, you know. Don't get me vexed, you know. Don't pretend that you ain't know, you know, and asking me to bring that proof too. In fact, Saturday I will bring that. In addition to this clip, in addition to this picture, do not play with those who are committed to decency, who are committed to morality in public life, or who are committed to the truth and nothing but the truth, and the questionable veracity of what Rowley and they are saying, who are supposed to be managers of our affairs, have breached the social contract that they have entered into. And it was Rowley, and I'm going to bring, of course, as well, to support this, the many and numerous utterances, but it was only platitudes. It was exercise in verbal, as some people would say in English, tautology. And like a blasted recurrent decimal, they go all over the place, particularly Rowley, and suddenly has a bout of self-righteous indignation, and he appalls those persons who do not exhibit transparency in public life. And of course, he will tell you that when you are in public life, you are and you have a duty and responsibility for when questions are posed to you that you answer. Well, he is the epitome of the opposite. He's the epitome of the opposite. A pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, and south. I thought I should introduce tonight's various topic, and of course, Kamla Persad-Bissessar will be on the spotlight tonight. I think she is moving in the right direction. There is no weapon formed against the people who are committed to Trinidad and Tobago can prosper. They may appear to be prospering, but that is ephemeral, that is temporary, that is transient. But at the end of the day, good will always prevail over evil, and the evil clearly is what you are seeing there. Rowley indicating that no contractor, self-moralization, you know, like people who blow their own trumpet and pin their own lapel, that is him. And he has been doing that since he came into public office, and since he was holding public office, that not only provides him with an opportunity and an influence to administer public institutions and deliver to the people from the very national quarries, come right back to in the Ministry of Planning, in the Ministry of Agriculture, in the Ministry of Housing. And of course, the most blatant and unforgivable is the landed fiasco, all of which has been connected to him with always some degree or high degree of bubbles-ism. Bubble after bubble, after bubble, after bubble. And in government, not only bubble after bubble, but of course, failure after failure after failure. He's so sour, he is so cursed that the very the very innocuous, not well publicized, but yet still a flood came. A flood came and covered Greenvale. And that is how we knew that it was Rowley was the Minister of Government in the chair of Housing. Yeah. When that disaster then waited to happen, manifested itself when he became Prime Minister. You can't be more sour than that. Can't be more sour than that. You can't be more cursed than that. And so it's always for us to see the Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. Let me repeat that. I say the Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. We weren't supposed to know about the Vincent Nelson, what I consider to be indemnity agreement. Indemnity agreement, we wasn't supposed to know. We wasn't supposed to know about the fiasco and the shenanigans surrounding the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower. We wasn't supposed to know. And later, of course, the Galleon Passage, nowhere to be found. We wasn't supposed to know. We wasn't supposed to know that Rowley, before he became even Prime Minister, was talking to Sandals. We weren't supposed to know. Yeah, we wasn't supposed to know that he intervened and caused public disquiet. And I'm sure a very uncomfortable situation for the former president. Yeah, former president. She must have been relieved when her term came to an end. This man is that blight, as he intervened in trying, of course, to malign and to generate a dictatorial and autocratic disposition in the office of Prime Minister by interfering with the independent institution called the Police Service Commission. And we have stories like that over and over, and yet still he will come in our faces. And when he comes and he gives a press conference, giving very little information and telling us that he, more than everybody else as Prime Minister, have been before them. That is platitudinous babblings, and of course, intended to ingratiate, similar to when he said that people want to kill him before the election, similar to when he said that he was doing us a favor by telling us that the present administration and the Prime Minister then, Kamla Persad-Bissessar, were conspiring in some bogus, false, and illusionary and figment of his imagination emails. It's clear, you sycophant, if you want, I can't be a fool for you, but if you want to stay there and live in perpetual denial, you go ahead. But I, Lennox Smith, so long as I can help it, I will go to every leader of the world to save Trinidad and Tobago if you are not prepared to come on board and do what is required as a citizen. That being as it may, once again, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web. A pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Thursday edition of the Corridor Transformation. Of course, the numbers to call 337-6940, 337-6940. I know that I came out of the box like a bullet, and these days, it's all right to talk about bullet. It's all right to talk about deaths. It's all right to talk about murders. It's all right to talk about homicide. It's all right to talk about home invasions and so on, because this government clearly have abandoned, of course, the population as far as security is concerned, and as far, of course, as the economy is concerned. And of course, what they have is the usual cacophonous babblings, and of course, the ambulatory verbalizations, and that has now become ad nauseum sickening. Ad nauseum sickening, people. So, once again, for those who thought I only talking, I don't talk, I prove. And this is what this is all about. But tonight, of course, I would like to highlight Kamla Persad-Bissessar simply because she is saying the right things. She is saying the right things. Prepare for elections. There must be some internecine development inside of the PNM. I doubt any person who still have a modicum and have not been corrupted and, of course, influenced by Rowley will not be saying as it is. If it means becoming unpopular among the party or among members of the party, and, of course, indeed, at the risk of being expelled. But, of course, there are some people who are so ensconced that it will be very difficult, of course, to dislodge them. But we know human frailty and human cowardice will, of course, especially if they are getting some kind of kakada, whether you are in URP at the rank and file level or CPEP at that level, or you are a board member, or you are a minister of government, or you are one receiving a contract from this government. I want to tell you, you are, of course, receiving poison ivy. Poison ivy. A whole forest of poison ivy. That money, because that does not belong to Rowley and they cannot willy-nilly, helter-skelter, recklessly and brutally, and of course, with a high degree of profligacy. We have seen recently, there was no need, of course, to pursue Alan Ramlogan and Ramdeen. Why would you, of course, spend more money having regard to the disquiet and the concern of the population as to money is spent inside of the office of the Attorney General? How could you be so disrespectful and so discourteous and so nonchalant and so unrelentingly barbaric? That's beast. That's beast conduct. Who the hell Rowley and them feel they are? All of them. And the entire cabinet must be, of course, criminally investigated when Kamla Persad-Bissessar, the UNC come. I know they don't like to hear that. And I know they're looking, of course, right now, every time they hear words like these, and they are looking, of course, to see where they would have, what stone they would have left unturned, or where they have not crossed the T and dot the I. But, of course, like Rowley, all of them, and the Lord moves, as I said, in mysterious ways. He confound them because the PNM clearly is equal to a Tower of Babel because they are so confounded. They are so in a state of enigma that they will start, of course, to blame each other. You will see closer to 2025. You will see, and then, of course, you will tell me something else because it is not to be a rocket scientist or a prophet, but common sense will tell you that because evil could never prevail over good. And we are seeing, of course, a level of evil, a level of wickedness, a level of disrespect for the population, a level of maladministration, a level of abuse of public resources, including funds, while we have a large section of the population either becoming more poor, while, of course, they spend money on their own priority to try, of course, to stay in office, to continue to do us evil. That is their agenda. That is their modus operandi, and that is their raison d'etre, their reason for existing. They want to stay in office to do us evil. If you listen to Hines and you listen to the others, including Rowley, they believe that a Tobago scenario cannot happen in Trinidad. But I want to tell them that in 1986, it was to the tree. It was to the tree. But let's get, of course, straight to the crux of the matter. As I said, I don't want to lose much time because Kamla has a lot to talk about, and therefore I think we should go straight to Kamla and hear what she has to say.
And when you transpose those results And when we look at those numbers, we had 31 less seats running on a UNC ticket than the PNM. Less, you know. But we got 43,000 more votes. And if the maths is definitely massive, the maths is massive in the favor of the United National Congress. And when you transpose those results from the local election and you put them into constituencies, I have good news for you tonight if you didn't do it yet. We have crunched the numbers, and the UNC would have won every single marginal seat when we transpose those results. So don't get distracted and fooled. Do not become distracted. We are on the right pathway. We are heading on the road to victory whenever those elections are called Christmas. And so many councillors and MPs will be hosting Christmas treats and toy distributions over the next month. So we can look forward to that. We continue to work and to deliver. I hope that the government chooses to do something for the children for Christmas. Many of us know many children do not enjoy a good Christmas season because of their circumstances. That's why, when I was your Prime Minister, every year, we went to the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, and we delivered around the country to treat our children, at least to give them a gift. You all remember that, I hope, for Christmas. I want you to look at this clipping. Kevin, do we have the clip to play here?
Don't forget, of course, that to share. We are on YouTube and Facebook. Share. Of course, subscribe as well, because it is important for the next phase of the rolling out of the awareness agenda of the corridor transformation, where we will be approaching world leaders to focus on Trinidad and Tobago, having regard to the undermining of our democratic principles and our values by a fella who clearly believes that Trinidad and Tobago belongs to the PNM and therefore him. Because as I've said before, take Rowley, take Hines, take Imbert, take Short Young, and put them aside and let them form their own party, and everybody, I'm sure, will stone them like biblical times, stone them out of existence. Yes? So they cannot claim that they have any political charisma or any attraction. It's because they have hitched their wagon to an entity that still has some residual affinity and support. But that will soon come to an end as we continue, because they never catered for, as I often said, a corridor transformation, a Gong report, a Victor Roberts, a Annie Roberts, and so many others who can use, of course, and use the system and get to the population just as the mainstreamers who have been captured by this administration and pursuing the agenda. But alas, we have proven to be more powerful, as they now have to take their news and their timing from us as opposed to their own volition, because that is the reality. The democratization of Trinidad and Tobago has not come because of Rowley and the PNM. In fact, they have stymied and they have restricted our democracy. We saw only recently when, of course, in pushback 1, people were locked up, 32 persons or 24 persons, and then in pushback 2, tear gassed. That is not a healthy democracy make, that kind of action. But what we know, it is the beginnings, if not the unfolding of a dictatorship. That is what we know. The world has been sufficiently replete, and history is sufficiently saturated with that kind of development, and not to be anybody at all, not to be wise about what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. Rowley could go to England and he could also go to France, go to hell. Let's continue.
It's up. Well, I don't know what's up because I can't see it. What is up? Okay, that's the Trinidad Express. One of the years when we were in government. And you can read it yourself. PM Kamla Persad-Bissessar has distributed 50,000 gifts to children and communities across the country. And she's not stopping.
Prime Minister.
Persad-Bissessar continued a toy drive in a Sapara constituency yesterday. For the last several weeks, we have spent giving out toys throughout TND. Yesterday we were in Mayaro, the day before we were in Tobago. So as of today, we have given out more than 50,000 children toys and treats for this year's Christmas. And so we said, how best, thank you so much, how best, looks really good. Thank you, Kevin, give Kevin a round of applause, I can now see. I can see what's on the screen. So how best do we celebrate the birthday of Jesus Christ than to appreciate and love our children? Jesus made it clear that children are gifts from God, and that is why we must treat them with care and love our precious children. So this year, let's move on. The island-wide children's Christmas treat was so painful to the PNM and either food elite that they eliminated it as soon as they came in office in 2015. Wipe it out. We also gave grants to all the churches, you all remember that? For Eid, we gave grants to the mosques. For Diwali, we gave grants to the mandirs. For Christmas, we gave to the churches. And you remember something? They were so angry. The PNM accused us of bribing the Christian community. Look at this article. Kamla, local news, Trinidad Express, no regrets. Prime Minister Kamla yesterday said, it was an insult to the Christian community to think her $55 million worth of grants to churches was an attempt to buy out their support. Persad-Bissessar said she had no regrets giving these grants. She said the country could afford to assist the most vulnerable. How many of the same people who refused the grants are saying to give funding to the religious bodies? But when we did it, some of them cursed us for doing it. Up to today, I have no regrets for giving those grants to religious bodies. And we also remember we removed the VAT on key items. When it was Eid, when it was Diwali, when it was Christmas, we reduced prices of rice and flour. I would ask you to put up the story there, please. Oil. Sugar, thank you. Basic items, where we were at 20% cut in prices of flour, oil, rice, next Monday and Tuesday. We did it for every community. And this is what it is about. Government's Christmas gift to the nation is a 20% reduction for 2 days in the price of rice, flour, and soybean oil. The discounts are applicable only on national flour mill products. PM Kamla announced the measure at yesterday's post-cabinet news conference at the St. Clair office, saying that it was aimed at bringing greater financial ease, relief and joy to citizens over the holiday season. Look, I want you all to remember, because that is what some of you didn't want. Some people didn't want kindness and love for themselves and their children. Instead, they have preferred to give forests $250 million. Instead, ministers' wives get hundreds of millions in contracts. 250 recusals of the cabinet, rather than a little gift for the children. They don't care about their own supporters, as JJ told us, far less anybody else's supporters. Look at this headline from December 24, 2010. PM Kamla hands Christmas hampers to needy. Guess what? Rowley refused to participate. JJ said he got Botox. There's not all, not for his face. Botox is hard. He Botox is hard too and it shrink.
Local.
No heart to help anyone. Here's the story. Rowley refuses to participate. PM Kamla handed out Christmas hampers Thursday as she closed off her official duties before heading home to spend the holidays with her immediate family. Program director of the TT card said 4,100 people would get hampers, with each of the 41 constituencies receiving 100 each. The plan is for each MP to collect the hampers for distribution and pass them on to their constituents. But opposition leader Keith Rowley has instructed members of his parliamentary caucus not to take the hampers, not to take them, which he called an abuse of funds, not to take them. And I remember some of those same MPs come quietly to us and said, just give us a hamper, but don't tell nobody, don't take no picture, don't let Rowley know. Because they wanted to help their constituents. They wanted to help people living in an area who were vulnerable, who needed help, and that is what being government is about. That is the behavior and thinking of that man. Egocentric. So let his own constituents suffer. No problem with 250 cruisers I mentioned. No problems with giving hampers to the needy. Problems with children's life fund. Problems with scholarships. Problems with everything. Once it is helping people. Once.
And he has no qualms. He has no compunction. He is unconscionable to give as a bribe, to give a witness statement against a political opponent of $10 million. Yes, to the same fella, Vincent Nelson. He has no qualms in spending millions of dollars on vanity projects around the savannah, the so-called Magnificent Seven. He has no qualms. He has no qualms in imposing over $200 million to keep Train 1 alive. And let me tell all you something. Let me tell all you something one time. You see that camouflage and that boast that he is making, that the 200 million caused Trinidad and Tobago to get 10% in Train 2 and Train 3. Hogwash. Old talk, they would have gotten it anyway. Anyway, they would have gotten it. I said they would have gotten it anyway. There was no need to spend that money. Just as how there was no need to close down Petrotrin or mothball the oil refinery. They remind me of the situation where you give one, you gain one way and lose a million ways. Yeah. And so they have a opportunity to say that somehow there is a nexus between the 10% that the other shareholders provided. But that is typical negotiations. That's how it works. To get them into the country, the investors, is one task. But when they would have established and then they're eating too much, you as the government, in this case, or a new government, can take a different line in the interest of the people with respect to Rowley. And they keep telling us that they have, of course, brought in resources to the country, but our reserves moved from 10 billion to 6 billion. And they dipped into the Heritage and Civilization Fund. But all over the place, they are telling us something like when he was telling us all about the situation with Vincent Nelson and sharpening his evil, wicked, diabolical, and vindictive chops. A blasted trap. The man is a political assassin. Yeah, a political assassin. And a political executioner as well of a homicidal nature. That is Rowley, and they want to eliminate all competition like Putin and Robert Mugabe and like Saddam Hussein in Iraq and like, of course, Gaddafi in Libya, and all of them bite the dust. You see, I hear better cook than Rowley and them crow and still end up by Kentucky. You know what I say? I say that I hear better cook than Rowley and them crow and end up by Kentucky. And that is how not just dangerous they are, but how self-delusionary they seem to be wallowing in that kind of filth, that kind of putrid, that kind of mess, that kind of latrine attitude and orientation.
Is helping people who need, they have a problem with that. The cost of living is at all-time high, and many poor families, the elderly and single mothers, are enduring a nutritional crisis which could lead to an explosion of health problems. I want to give you this assurance. When you return the UNC to government, when you place me back as your Prime Minister, this country will have a Christmas. This country will have a Christmas of Christmases, where you will feel a little love and give happiness. No family must go hungry for Christmas, because the revenue of our country is enough to help the vulnerable. Forget the renters and the recusers. Help those in need this Christmas. Our country, we need to spend it on those in need. The oil and gas revenue are supposed to be spent on you, taxpayers. That tax revenue is supposed to be spent on you. And the UNC is a government of love and care for everyone. So friends, they really want a Christmas wish come true. Can we pray for it as well? And while we are praying for that victory, we also have to work very, very hard. We have to work really, really hard. Now, Rudy today coined a word. It comes from the word diabetes, but it is not diabetes. What it is? Libetes. Libetes. So you have LIBOR in AG, and you have libetes in Rowley. And them fellas just can't stop lying. They will never stop lying. We are a very blessed country. Very God-blessed country. We are a special country. Our destiny is to be a shining example and light to the world. I know the UNC is not perfect, but when in office we get things done. Everyone knows how much is accomplished when we are in government. Think about it just for a minute. Rowley Government has no achievement. Everyone has said it tonight, and you know it. No achievement in 8 years. Let's stop talking about 8 years. They are now going into 9 years. The election was September 2015. They are now into their 9th year. And there is nothing to show, and there will be nothing to show. In those times, in these periods, this is what we did in our 5 years. We cut taxes. We increased wages. We created jobs. We gave laptops to all children. What has the PNM given our children? They have legalized marijuana. That's what they did, legalize marijuana. If someone offered you a choice between a laptop or some marijuana for your family, it is clear what you will choose. Who do you think has the best interest of the children of this land and the future of our land? We built the Cougar Children's Hospital. Up to there, out of spite and malice, they will not open the hospital. It took a pandemic for them to open it up for the COVID and shut it back down again, still not open. We build bridges, we build the DBUE campus. We control it. They don't like people, boy. Not just children, they just don't like people. They only care about themselves. That's all they care about. That's all they care about. We build roads, bridges, schools. We control inflation. We brought down crime. We protected lives. We secured our borders. We had the highest foreign exchange reserves in our history. We had the highest GDP in our history. We created 55,000 new jobs and we did not raise a single new tax. Not one tax under the UNC. We must remember these. Our athletes, our sportsmen won the most medals in our history because of our dedication to excellence in sport, and we had a great minister of sport, Alan Roberts, great minister of sport. We led the world in early childhood education and digital connectivity among school children. We must remember these things. Murila said we must fight their PNM propaganda with truth. He is right. We have to fight their propaganda. In their going into 9 years, the Rowley government has no achievement. I ask again, how can a government have nothing to show going in 9 years in office? $500 billion spent. $500 billion spent, and it's only pain, misery, murder, and slaughter. So therefore, pain and misery, that's all we get from this. PNM. That is part of the reason why we meet today with TNT, even more pain and misery than when we last spoke with you a few weeks ago. As our national crisis deepens, we now have an absentee government, one that is distant from and uncaring about life-threatening issues of the day. More and more blood is flowing. Unending number of innocent citizens falling victim, brutally murdered, assaulted, robbed in their homes, to and from work or in any public space. Several of you showed the front page of the Express today and spoke of it. The story about a gangs could be brokering and negotiating with gangs. If you know they are gangmen, why don't you lock them up? Why don't you lock them up? You're handling these bandits with kid gloves. I remember in that parliament, a disgraced Attorney General, Faris, came to the parliament and said, pass this anti-gang law, pass this anti-gang, all the opposition obstructing. He said, once you pass the law, we know the names of the bandits. We know the names and addresses of the gang members. Don't worry, we're going to pick up everyone. Have they picked up a single one yet? None. And right now you are brokering and negotiating with the bandits, with the gangs. Man, you want to tell me who the gangs are, who the members are. You just talking, making peace with them. What the hell you should do is lock them up, put them behind bars, put them behind bars. Put them behind bars. I said, no one, this is too disgusting. And there must be, I think one of you called for an investigation. There must be a serious investigation, not by the TPS, but by an independent body as a whole police could be negotiating peace deal with bandits. Two gangs, two sets of gangs. No one has denied this story yet. No one has denied it. No one has denied it. And therefore we call for a full-scale investigation. Forget this nonsense Saudi highway in Parliament. That will not see the light of day, I promise you that. Because of the known principle of law, that you cannot have two bodies at it, you want to come to Parliament gallery and use your majority to come to condemn, as you said, scandalize UNC. We will have none of it. We will have none of it. So what did the police do? What did they do? What did they do to give these gangs a free pass? These two gangs, they make peace for this, they're fighting each other, and then what do they do? Who they come to fight? Is you and me. The rest of the country. The rest of the country will stop. I say this is something that needs to be seriously investigated. Mr. Rowley was asked about it. I don't know what was the answer he gave. They asked about I George song too. I mean, really? I don't know what answer he gave to that as well. Because first he said, look, I'm going to take off my Prime Minister's hat to answer that question. And I'll just talk to you with my plain bald head. No, he said that on national TV. Because government interference is so into them. Is it that members of this government and police service cannot move against the gangs? Because they are being blackmailed by the gang members. Remember the special branch report, there are allegations of the relative of a minister changing old $100 bills to new ones. For whom? Relative of a minister, it is alleged. You remember, we had a deadline that you carry the old bills and get the new ones. We have been told that this man is changing, the relative is changing the old dollar bills to new ones for gangsters. Come out and tell us that's why you're afraid of gangs. Do they have the potential to blackmail you? I've said before, I repeat, this government is a narco government. Hard-working citizens are ruthlessly robbed and beaten on the streets, or while conducting legitimate business. The government cannot act because we are afraid of being exposed by the gang leaders. Home invasions, a horrible fact of life, with merciless thugs attacking law-abiding citizens who spent decades building their homes, their families, their communities and the nation, and this government refuses to enable law-abiding citizens to get legal firearms to defend themselves. Crime has created an undeclared civil war in once peaceful TNT. We are the world's most dreadful non-war killing zone. The only other place you're seeing that kind of killing zones, death fields as well, where there's open armed conflict war. Gaza and Israel, Putin and Ukraine and Russia and so on. Where there's open warfare, but we are killing fields. And as JJ says, the young ones are the ones who are the ones being wiped out. A whole lost generation. And I want to call on this government, I have this big fat book here. Probably wondering what this is. This was the Ryan report that my government commissioned when we had problems with the crime, when I was Prime Minister. Look at the size of this report. Many of the recommendations we have implemented already. But when they came in, they let go the wheel, they dumped the book, they threw it away in the dustbin. Today they need to pick it back up and look at the recommendations that we can share. So when you come to tell me about crime talk, something like, look, I will meet you anywhere, anytime, any place, any day, Rowley. Anywhere, and I'll even take over the pavement from Rudy to and meet you on the pavement as well. We are not afraid of you. We have the plans, we have the policies, we have the programs, we have a track record. And we brought serious crimes down to the lowest in 30 years, man. So, read and learn, listen and learn. And I don't understand why he's so reluctant to come out as the head of government, the head of the National Security Council, to discuss the most deadly thing happening in our country now. Crime. Why are you breaking? Why are you ducking and hiding? Why? Answer us that. And I wrote to you in good faith after I called for these anti-crime talks in April of this year. He refused, you remember that? No way, no. And when the president made a call, and on that same day in Parliament, all of us were there after the sitting, and the media was interviewed, and I said, sure, we are willing to meet. If we could save one life, if we could save one person from injured, we will meet. We will find the time and the space and the place. We will meet. And after we all said that, Rowley write me again now. He said, look, this is my team. Set at different conditions from what was previously agreed. First, he had told us, you name 4 and we will name 4. When you write me back now, after he said all our recommendations, I don't know how many pages, he said, oh God, the letter was too long, first of all. Like the fella can't focus for long now, so he found the letter was too long to read. This is where I had put in all our plans, our policy, some of them for him to see, and to come up with an agenda. Then he writes back, no, letter too long. I heard him on the TV complain, letter too long. And then he says, listen, you all could send 4 persons. Good, we had agreed. But the government will send how many? 5. See, already lopsided thing. Lopside, flip side, whatever side you want to call it. Just upsided the apple cart and the orange cart too.
And of course, as you know, Rowley made an argument for the 5-4 scenario as if he has no experience with respect to equal people sitting equally, and usually they wouldn't have a scenario where you sit on one side of a table and one team sit on the next side. Usually to symbolize that unity of purpose and that coming together for the question of crime and criminality in Trinidad and Tobago. You normally would have a round table. So nobody could say they are at the end, nobody could say they're in the middle, nobody could say there's chairman or vice chairman. But Rowley said that somebody is supposed to coordinate the information and then set an agenda, etc., etc., etc. When in fact, the opposition had already sent a 6-page letter. Rowley said too long to read. And then, of course, appointed his Attorney General. That Attorney General is to Kamla, Persad-Bissessar, and the opposition, as indeed Gary Griffith is to Rowley. But of course, one has to say that in the case of Rowley, he's prepared to play handsy-pantsy and to, of course, sacrifice Trinidad and Tobago, the people who are law-abiding, because of his narrow, self-serving, and egotistic disposition. Yeah, you know what I say? While the opposition has the leeway and the laxity to take that position with respect to the Attorney General, Rowley has no such maneuverability, simply because Gary Griffith has demonstrated to the national community that he is probably the most qualified, both in terms of academics and in terms of practical execution of the role of police commissioner in this country in recent times, better than the accomplished and career police officers that preceded him, and including the one that is there now. I'm talking about Williams, and now I'm talking about, of course, Earl Christopher. If he is Prime Minister and is supposed to be concerned about the welfare and the security of the country, and to stem the unrelenting murders that are taking place on a daily basis, Rowley simply had no choice. But no, his ego, just as how the entire cabinet come together, conspired to defend him with respect, of course, to the fake oil matter, and then close down Petrotrin to manifest that beast and, of course, criminal behavior of the entire cabinet. We saw it with the Sea Bridge as well. We saw it, of course, with the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower. That is the kind of his ego. He believes that he is more than Trinidad and Tobago. Well, if you believe you're more than Trinidad and Tobago, get the hell out of Trinidad and Tobago. If you believe that you are bigger than, if you believe that you're brighter than, if you believe that your shadow is overwhelming and therefore transcends to Trinidad and Tobago, goes beyond Trinidad and Tobago, get the hell out, because you are no use to us. And we want to tell you, in other words, that is an illusion. You are a dunderhead. You are a rockhead. You are an ass. You are a despicable and egregious and wicked and nasty criminal. And you are a rapist and a pedophile. And therefore, you have no use to us, because you cannot provide the moral, ethical, and the guidance that is required intellectually, cognitively, and otherwise, in order, of course, to steer Trinidad and Tobago out of the morass and the quagmire that it has found itself because of your policies, programs, and of course, vindictiveness. Let us not waste time with that. Get the hell out if you believe you're bigger than all of us. And all of your so-called bigger than all of us is bubble, criminal behavior, nepotism, cronyism. Nothing, of course, to level the playing field, to say that, of course, you want to compete, let us compete on a level playing field. You want an unfair advantage and claiming that you is some kind of guru, you're some kind of intellectual unique. No, you are not. You are a commoner, the scum of the earth. Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, people don't forget, of course, the numbers to call. You can call. I think the number is working. 336-6594. I find the phone a bit silent tonight. I wonder if it's because of the serious nature of the discussion tonight. But of course, you can call us at 337-6940, 337-6940. And don't forget, of course, those of you who have any kind of assistance to provide for our annual Christmas hamper and toy, well, 336-6594, 336-6594. And of course, the number to call right now, you can, and doesn't matter with blue verb, green verb, it doesn't matter with me, but 337-6940. And don't forget, of course, if you want to assist us with our Christmas initiative, 336-6594, 336-6594. Having said that, of course, I want to focus on Kamla because it makes a lot of sense. And therefore, this is not about bias to me. This is about being pragmatic. This is about being real. This is about the reality that when you compare both parties and when you compare both leaders, we see that the Kamla, Persad-Bissessar, and the UNC are way ahead of the PNM and Rowley.
Okay, fine. Then say, listen, we will have other stakeholders, but this committee with your 4 people and my 5 people will take a decision whom should be invited as a stakeholder. How is that now? So what you want to create another joint select committee of parliament? And then he says, only legislation. Well, fella, if you want that, let's go to parliament. We'll battle you in the parliament. We'll battle you outside the parliament. But don't fool the country. Do not fool the country into thinking that the opposition is blocking this. We are willing and able. I say it again. We will meet with you. Why are you sending Limo to meet me? I don't want to meet him. There's a man lied in a court of law in Miami. This is a man who has so many failures. He's disqualified himself. I don't wish to speak to him. What you want me to put my members through that as well? So you send Limo, and he said some of the worst ministers on that committee. The few fellows he sent from his team. I mean, what can they tell us? How can they help us? And on top of that, when we say we want a stakeholder to come. For example, I'd like to see Gary Griffith as a stakeholder. Man has experience. He was my national security minister for a while, and then he was your commissioner of police. So what's wrong? But then, no, you change it up. You will have 5, I will have 4, and you'll say, no, we don't want Gary. We don't want you. We don't want you. We don't want you. At the end of the day, there's going to be a talk shop, a PNM talk shop. We will get absolutely nothing done. So he's now, I'm traveling the world. where our country is. He's traveling to where Rowley is, where we deteriorated in every area, as Munla and JJ told you, others told you here. And in Darcy, I support your call that para report must not get sidestepped, lost, moved away. It has to come in and be made public to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. He, together with his lazy gang, they're traipsing across the globe. This lazy leader is living a life of funded taxpayer luxury and so on. Crime is a national emergency, remember he told us that? A public health issue. I think you mentioned it before, the money they spend for the symposium, all these crazy things they're doing, and the crime is just not going away. So we talk about the crime talks. I want to make it very clear. Some media house asked me, and I try my best to answer, whether I felt insulted by Rowley ducking and hiding. I said, I am not insulted, but there are many citizens who feel insulted. I understand he's insecure with many irrational fears. This is not about ego or personal feelings. I believe we should work together for the greater good. They clearly don't want to explain to the country why they are refusing to work with stakeholders or for the Prime Minister to attend. Who am I supposed to speak to? If he doesn't attend, what is it? Ghosts? Because none of them have the authority. None of those members, he said, has any authority to agree to anything. So what's the point, as I say, talk shop again? I don't understand why government will continue to provoke and overwhelm and terrorize population. They are traveling all over the world. They're begging everybody all over the world for help. But they wouldn't meet with our own local stakeholders here to get the help. This is where it is. This is what the problem is. You're going to Canada to beg. Anywhere you go, you're begging. TNT has now become a beggar in the national community. You have embarrassed us everywhere. You don't even know to put on clothes to go to an official meeting. Go on with a tracksuit or whatever it was. I mean, a meeting of prime ministers, man. At least put on the clothes if you're not real prime minister. Put on the clothing of a real prime minister and make our country proud. You just embarrass us everywhere you go. Whenever Rowley's ready, when Rowley responds, I'm not insulted he hasn't replied because he has no answer. I raised 5 or 6 issues to please clarify before the talks take place. Why did you change from 4 each to 5? Why have you narrowed? You asked me for recommendations. I sent you pages which you felt was too long letter. And now you remove all of that. You only want to deal with legislation. We have so many laws, so many pieces of legislation on our books, law books. What more legislation do you want? You begged just for the anti-gang law. Refused it. Then I said I will reverse the standing orders by consent and agree will bring it back and give you the support. We gave it to you. Instead, you're just making love now with the gangs, with the gang members, when you should be locking them up. So, my friend.
Well, of course, I did reveal to you Heinz making the wrongs with the elements that they say are gang leaders and gang members and engaged, of course, in this drive-by shooting, the new phenomenon that is taking place on top, of course, of home invasions and the multiple robbery in car park and car hijacking and so on and so forth. But here it is, we have a situation where Dr. Rowley continues, of course, to flounder and to flip-flop and to demonstrate the inevitable disaster or give us signs of the inevitable disaster if we do not get rid of this bunch of individuals. I saw the phone ringing just now. I don't know. It is supposed to be up and running. So let me just make sure that it is, yes, it is here. Yes, so the phone is up and phone is okay as far as I see. Let's continue with Kamla Persad-Bissessar. For those of you who just joined us, well, we are featuring Kamla Persad-Bissessar tonight, largely because I think she's making sense. I think the time is near at hand. I think who the gods wish to destroy, the first send them mad. So Rowley and them talking all kind of madness, doing all kind of madness, and things are simply not going their way. Something like when Moses went and warned Pharaoh, let the people go, but he wouldn't do it. So the different plagues are now besetting Rowley, and they plague after plague, everything failing. everything they touch. Now, just imagine, Rowley was very optimistic. Nobody felt that anything could go wrong on this occasion. They are going to get the dragon deal going. Guess what? Suddenly Maduro want to fight war with Guyana. Suddenly. So Rowley is a cursed man. On the last occasion, sanction came and they couldn't, of course, pursue it after he said, this is historic, and he beat his chest. You know how we would normally do as a typical, of course, egotistic megalomaniac. Yes, a total narcissist with that hubris kind of attitude. And then, of course, at the end of the day, sanction come. You know, no. According to Short Young, he can't check how much time he went Venezuela. He can't check how much time he went to the United States for these to put the various cogs or the various elements of this deal together. And Shell, of course, is on board, etc. And now Maduro just simply kicked the blasted can, not down the road, immediately after that. So Maduro was only toying with Rowley, and Rowley feels he doesn't have the ability, if not the authority, to talk to Maduro and them. And could it be because of what transpired when Delcy Rodriguez came here undercover, under COVID? Could it be that the transaction that took place, Trinidad and Tobago's government involvement in that shipment that breached the sanction and went, of course, to Venezuela, and Rowley at the time saying that we are a sovereign country and that therefore the sanction does not apply to us, and we have, of course, a bald-headed, stupid, and asinine female minister of housing today, Tammy Robinson Rage, is telling us who the hell is Trump. Who the hell is Trump? But they had to go beg for a license, though. Let's see how things are. Right, good. I'm seeing things happening now. Let me just put that together. All right, just hold on, people. Yes. All right. Right. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Taking a little time, but of course we are here. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
I see nobody calling. I think I'm call a little bit and say hi to everybody on the live.
All right,
on
okay.
YouTube. You know something? I was talking to my second mother today. A very nice lady. You know, you can carry a good conversation with her and stuff. And we were talking about all kind of thing, and one thing that stick with my whole day today, and it might come across the same way that it came today. When we were talking, but I'm studying these children who are fatherless. I think it's 4 or 5 of them fathers that die in the oil rig.
Yes, in the pipeline.
The pipeline, yeah. Sorry. And I'm studying the amount of money these people spend. They can take this money and put it into better use, like have the children give the parents money. It will not add up to, it can't take away, you know, the person's dying. They can't come back then.
Yes.
You know, they can't come back. But at least they could take these monies and put it to the children and for when they want to, if they have to go to like, they want to do something with their life, you know? Parents want to better themselves, have a better housing accommodation for the children, if they want to go to university, and all these things, you know. The government should do something. You're spending all this unnecessary money, your children taken care of. And these children suffering, they have no parents. You don't know how the living conditions is right now. If they have food in the house to eat, if they have mortgage to pay, you don't know what the people conditions are. You're supposed to make things a little better for them. It would not bring back the fathers, right? You don't know how much girl children they have, how much boys, and what they have to face on a daily basis. You know? I find that the government needs to do more. And, you know, they have black people fighting against themselves, killing themselves. I mean, all of us see what happened in this country. These Venezuelan and Colombian and all these people will come here, Chinese, everybody, and take over all the country and all. We have nothing, you know. We will not have anything at all to leave back for our children. A matter of fact, people suffering. You can't go downtown nowhere, and you see, every time you go, it's a different store, a different thing. Some of them do the public thing for sale and all these kind of things. People not making money, they can't do nothing for themselves. We're hearing home invasion, people beating up people and raping them, doing up all kind of things. And this government have no plan for crime. They have no plan in doing anything for this country. And I think we as stakeholders, pushback people and everybody, we need to come together and stop dividing ourselves and studying this one and that one and start studying our business. Because at the end of the day, our country is suffering. People used to love to come to Trinidad and Tobago. Now nobody would come. They would not do any business in Trinidad. They will not do anything because they can't walk on the street and then hear some kind of crime going on. You understand?
Yeah.
So,
Well said.
well, that is that for now. But I also asking people to please help with the hamper drive. We have a lot of single parents, a lot of old people. We have our own stakeholders who are in need, right? And we don't mind going Christmas morning, whatever time, we don't mind going. We don't mind going. It's not a Laventil thing alone. Because I realize some people will say, we're not giving anything because it's a Laventil thing. It's not a Laventil thing. We go all over the country and give out hampers to people in need. We have a lot of people in our own circle here, stakeholders, people who are also on the live. Some of them we can't say. Some of them probably not on the live, but they need help, and we need to help. Right? I know some people cannot, but if you could, please try. Right? And let us try to give these children a happy Christmas as well. It's not about Lavender. I'm getting fed up with it now.
All right.
Right? So enjoy your night. Be safe, and season greetings to everybody. And myself, doing a marvelous job. I enjoy it at all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Of course, that was my keen, astute, and that is an accurate and a very, what I consider to be assiduous assistant. That is an assistant, not short young. He's a sidekick. Perks in advance, flying up along the place, and then Maduro calls for war by his country with Venezuela, and so scuttle the dragon deal one time in the process. As I was saying, that man sour, and she raised a very salient point that I hope that people caught as well. Yeah, Port of Spain, Frederick Street, the main street in Port of Spain is emptying. I am seeing on Frederick Street what we call in Laventil parlors opening. People selling soft drink and confectionery and so on. I'm telling you, go right now on the corner of Duke and Frederick Street. You will see a barber shop open and a parlor on Frederick Street. Frederick Street is supposed to be the shopping and commercial center of Port of Spain. I mean, that is an embarrassment. But it tells you that the owners of those buildings are desperate. And I'm sure that they will be renting those stores for vastly reduced amounts in order at least to pay light bill and to maintain those buildings. That is what's up. Go on Frederick Street, I say. Not on Charlotte Street, you know. On Frederick Street. The shopping center, the commercial center of Port of Spain, the capital of Trinidad and Tobago. I thought I should, of course, having, of course, mentioned Port of Spain and the fact that the people are losing their jobs and losing their businesses and so on. Under Rowley, that is the kind of blight we're talking about. So quite apart from Greenvale and the other issues and incidents that we mentioned, and the fact that the man has failed, and continue to fail, and in our faces, pretending as though everything is honky-dory. Up to now, the man cannot face the crime situation. He can't face the fact that we have a tremendous reduction in the reserves of the country, and yet still find the lyrics, the oratory garbage to tell us that he bringing in money and that train 2 and 3 will represent increased revenue for Trinidad and Tobago. To what extent? And to do what? You see, Rowley and Day is clearly similar in terms of their conduct, attitude, and disposition. As the cliche, as the saying, you know, I love to quote these quotations. Rowley and them is like doing that is like throwing pearls to swine. Rowley and them being the swines. It's like throwing pearls to swine. They cannot do anything with it, even though they were able to make it happen. You see, it is also said that a fool may make money, but it takes a wise man to spend it, because it has to be sustained and continued. Augmentation must come and not reduction or deterioration. A fool may make money, but it takes a wise man to spend it. And as you also know, a fool and his money soon parts. Rowley and they are all of that. They met $10 billion in reserve. Today they're saying 6, I say it is 4. They met 5 in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. They take out of it and still have the audacity and the, what I consider to be the incongruent rationalization, because it simply doesn't make sense. When they tell us that it gone back to how they meet it in 2015. Because there is a continuous, of course, inflow from, of course, dividends and interest that they will get from the investment of that fund on various international markets or investment markets. But the fact of the matter is, it will always be short of the money that they took out. You know what I say? I say it will always be short. The Heritage and Civilization Fund will always be short of the money that they took out. Yet still, this charlatan Minister of Finance will tell us that the thing gone back to the level that they met it in 2015. Yeah, that is the kind of asinine and ludicrous and lunatic statements that these people make, only to appear and project some kind of know-how and some kind of knowledge and some kind of justification for incompetence and impotence, which of course seem to be idiosyncratic, seem to be central, seem to be endemic in the PNM. Yeah. Let's get back to Kamla Persad-Bissessar. I think that she makes a lot of sense.
I want to make 2 very important announcements tonight.
That's it.
I said we won the local election, even though we contested 31 less seats, which we gave to our partners. We are continuing to work, and you will vote again for safety and security. I want to make this announcement today. We will be holding anti-crime talks in the public domain. Rowley doesn't want to have it. So the UNC will engage Some will prefer not to have their faces taped and so on, but we'll hold these consultations. Just like we did for the budget consultations, we will do those anti-crime talks as we go. The government doesn't want to talk to people, we will, and we must talk to them. And to all those who is going to help David get his wish come true, and all the rest of us, you know, we can't change stupid. We can't change incompetent, but we can certainly vote out stupid and vote out incompetent. So as we prepare to move into an election year, I serve notice tonight the United National Congress will open nominations for every single general elections in every single one. All seats.
Tobago, let the UNC comes.
And as some of the guys say, if you're a man or woman, you're free to put your nomination forms in. Those forms will be available at the headquarters in December. So we are looking for candidates for the general election, wherever it's called, but next year, know it is an election year, and we must start off on a strong footing to go forward, to bring back glory, to rescue TNT, to bring safety and security. I have several matters I would like to raise tonight, and before I get into the substance of that, I want to welcome all of you again and thank you. I want to extend best greetings, best wishes to all of you for a holy, very blessed Christmas season, filled with goodwill, filled with happiness and peace. I ask you to reach out even more to the many distressed and less fortunate persons suffering some form of hardship, and there are many in our country. I urge you to be extremely cautious with your safety and security, since blood continues to flow in our unending violent crime crisis. As I said before I go into the substance of issues, I just want to share some party matters with you. I had announced that we will be opening nominations for the general elections so that we will be ready whenever those elections are called. Tonight I want to advise you to take notice that the forms will be available from Monday, the 11th December at the party headquarters in Chaguanas.
So people, of course, that is next week, Monday coming. So to all of you who are interested, the UNC is the quintessential democratic party. There's no doubt about it. Of course, there are certain parameters and limitations that you must conform to as every other party and every other institutions and or organization that is people oriented or saturated or filled, because there must be rules. So those of you who are not qualified this time around, you know what the rules are. On the next occasion, of course, make yourself present, because we have a country to save from the likes of Rowley and his miscreants and criminals.
Between the hours 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., except of course during lunch hours, every registered member of our party who has been a member for over 1 year is entitled to collect a form and file a nomination. Our constitution is clear. You have to be a member for at least 1 year. Only then will you qualify to become
1 year membership.
a nominee for general elections. We have had a lot of inquiries for these nomination forms, and so we request you to please call the head office. The staff will give you an appointment date and time, started from Monday, as I said, 11, to collect. There's enough time for everyone who wants to get a form. Karen is the one at the headquarters dealing with these forms. There are new sections to be filled out, and so she would go through with you these new parts of the form that have to be filled, other procedural issues, and so we're allocating time each day from the 11th, where the staff will provide you with an appointment time. We are doing this because of security issues. We do not need a convergence of a mass. We don't need a carnival band. We need to be serious. This is serious business. So the staff has asked for measures Because when the office and yard are crowded, they will not be able to monitor what is happening for everyone's safety. So these are the safety measures. You call, you get an appointment, you go and collect your form and sign in at the head office. You will not receive a form if you walk in without an appointment. This, I say, is important. Call head office, get the appointment. We do not need any juve ban, as I say. Conversion on the headquarters. Go at that time, ask any questions you want, and get your forms and file your nomination papers at the earliest opportunity. And there are those say, well, what is the party doing? You will be told, the party or UNC party is working hard, working strong, and we will continue so to do. On February 25th, 2022, 5 divers woke up in the morning.
You will, of course, if you just joined or recently joined, why am I doing this? Do I have a privy to what is happening? I see the Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the UNC as the savior to Trinidad and Tobago. I see that party, its policies and programs that was unraveled or unleashed between 2010 and 2015 to be the superlative and the most, what I consider to be rational as well as viable response to the socio-economic and psycho-cultural realities of Trinidad and Tobago today. It was so then, and it still is so, if not worse, having regard to the total collapse of the governance and the ability to deliver by the Rowley administration, simply because it is all wrapped up in itself, and therefore government and governance has collapsed under the Rowley administration because of their greed and their self-serving agenda. And as a consequence, we need a Kamla Persad-Bissessar and the UNC to salvage and to resuscitate and to certainly revive Trinidad and Tobago to the glory it can be, having, of course, recognizing our collective and individual aspirations. That is why anybody with a modicum of common sense, a potpourri of common sense, will draw the same conclusion. Has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with texture of hair or color of skin. It has nothing to do with people who may have their biases on different bases, such as religion, such as maybe culture and all of that. No, it has to do with bringing out the full potential of Trinidad and Tobago and who is best positioned to do so. And we have seen as gregarious animals living in groups, but because we learn from experience, we have to be fools to do the same thing over and over, having regard to Rowley and his bunch of incompetence, ineffectiveness, to repose further trust in them to take us out of the morass and the quagmire that we have found ourselves in because of them. So I have no qualms in promoting and encouraging people to gravitate to the UNC, 1, and 2, if you are a member and you believe that you can meet the challenges, please put in your nominations at the appropriate time. And that is why I thought coming from the horse's mouth would be much better than coming from me.
They left their families. 4 of them never returned home.
She's talking about, of course,
I remind the nation,
those in the
several have
pipeline.
spoken, but I want to speak of them because it's a very painful tragedy. Their names: Faisal Kuban, Rishina Gesal, Kasim Ali Jr., and Yusuf Henry. May their souls rest in peace. the lone survivor, Christopher Boudram, he shared the horrific nightmare he endured. I remember speaking to him and he said he could hear the knocking from the pipe. He says that song haunts him up to today. Haunts him because he knew that they could have been rescued, they could have been saved. And he endured that nightmare, crawling through that pipe. Just the thought of that, to crawl through that pipeline, I mean, it is mind-blowing, that nightmare. 3 hours crawling through that pipe, desperately fighting to survive. A report was submitted, as Monilal told you, to the President last Friday by Chairman Lynch. 15 million has been spent on this inquiry and counting, but shamefully, not one black or red cent was given to the families of these men. Not one, up to today, not one. Not one.
And you telling me on humanitarian grounds alone, forget whether they would sue afterwards, these families can't get $1 million, 5 families, but you're billing for multi-million and saying it's not you. Bringing back Mayflower, the Whitehall, Stallmeyer Castle, the President building or office. Yeah. Red House. You spend money on coffee all over the place, all over the world. And you cannot spend at least $5 million as a humanitarian gesture. Easy to do. Just tell the cabinet agrees, and that is it. And of course, bring some civility and some respite to the people who are suffering more ways than one, emotionally, financially, and of course wallowing in poverty. Come on, Rowley. Come on, members of the government. What kind of beast are you in the highest offices in the country with no sense of empathy and sympathy, no sense of human disposition and understanding? We heard, unfortunately, a minister of social development, Donald Cox, telling people who line up during the course of the COVID for hampers, they haven't gotten $22 billion and they did not spend it where it mattered, because no one ought to have been hungry during the course of COVID. No one had a right to be lining up on the roads, but you take the money, you rob them of it, and when they go on the road to get hampers, you tell them that they're greedy. What kind of beasts in human form? Them people are children. They have children. They came from a family of children. They have siblings. I tell you, me, that is a different kind of punishment apart from the criminal law for all of them. They can't see that gate at all. But I know the devil waiting for them. Devil waiting for them. Devil waiting for them. Yes, indeed. Yes, I'm hearing the call. Just hold on, let me make sure. All right, I'm getting it now. All right, just stay there. Right, stay there. A pleasant good night. Devil waiting for them. Pleasant good night. Good night to you. I'm all right.
Lennox, you're making a conclusion with them divers and them blaming on nobody. There is collateral damage. The real people in that masquerade is lawyers, Lynch and company, right? They do the little, what should I say, the little scene. They collect their money, They file a report, it go in a shelf, and it remain there forever and ever. Right? A public document, the president have it locked up in a shelf somewhere, and that is not going to be made public at all by nobody, including this waste of time government. Right? $15.5 million shelf out there, and like you say, not even a cent given to these people on the military, and they don't have set no living. But this is a government that has continued on that line. They don't care about the poor. The Prime Minister was always echoing people's mind. He must get the rich richer. He have nothing to give to the poor, only to the rich. You seen that for yourself. You seen where the children like funnel these things gone. It disappeared, going into oblivion. People are going to make cake sales and barbecue and curry to sell the children for treatment now. Nothing for them again. Nobody knows where life funds go now. Right? And they continue doing this with disdain to the public, and people sit down there and taking that, they're taking this kind of bastard and wickedness by this government. I can't say more, because you've seen it perpetrated every day, and lying and saying all this, signing this agreement and that agreement and thing. But the trickle-down effect is not for the public at all, it's for the rich. I see you talk about Donna Cox here. I hear she make a statement this week that next year they come in to clean up social welfare. So all recipients who collecting social welfare to know that don't be surprised if you see Donna Cox coming and cutting all the watches the benefits, whoever it is, because she says she's gonna wean people off of that now, and they have to take responsibility and find out, right? How she gonna do so. If you're disabled or if you're collecting any kind of grant, you better look for our next work, because the Donna Cox coming to cut all the grant for the next year. Have a good day, Lennox.
Yes, indeed. And I'm glad that you raised that issue of social welfare and the welfare state that was established or invented by the British. And we have adopted from time immemorial as part of the various ministries that will have to be considered and executed over the years, because there is a recognition that there are some of us who, because of birth and other factors, may not be able to help ourselves, and therefore social welfare is supposed to pick up the slack as a humane society, as a humane community. Where has the love gone? Rowley and they are total beasts in human form. And I remember her predecessor, Cockburn. She is Donna Cox. Like all of them have some kind of cock name. I wonder why. But Cockburn, her predecessor, took pleasure in saying that she cut off 11,000 persons off the food card system. And then she identified a policeman who was getting, now on the face of it, one can say, well, listen, he's already getting a salary, and that may sound as a good argument. But I am sure that the fact that he was getting a food card was largely because the circumstances that he might have found himself in. He might have had, for example, 2 and 3 and 4 women with each of which have children, and he can't spread that, having regard to other things that he may have to, of course, facilitate in order to live a decent or a reasonable lifestyle in this country, paying rent probably, building a house, maintaining a car, buying furniture, all of that. And therefore, it has to be on a case-by-case basis. But she came without telling us what were the details and what the circumstance. And I know that the mere fact that it was a policeman was the only reason why she felt comforted and comfortable to just expunge him from the system. But I just use that against the background of 11,000, because that is an aberration, that is an exception to the rule. I'm talking about the policeman. But a policeman going for a food card has to be in an exceptionally difficult circumstance. Understand that. And these beasts will not understand. Rowley is the same thing. imagine, because of his narrow political views and wanting, of course, to appear to be honest, that dishonest son of a gun tell his constituents, don't take any hamper when Kamla was around. And mind you, that is his DNA, because during the course of COVID, when the Indian government was offering all of the world, including the Caribbean, a free AstraZeneca vaccine, Rowley say that if you have to get a donation, that is not a decent thing, that is not a respectable thing to do for Trinidad and Tobago. And the damn fool didn't understand at the time that not only could you not get the vaccine at all, no matter what, but because of the size of Trinidad and Tobago, all of the major countries with a multi-million population and having more resources than Trinidad and Tobago, they got the first set of vaccines. And therefore, even if he had the money to buy it, he couldn't buy it. But the fact is that he talk as though he have the money. At that time, he didn't have the money. And at any rate, nobody would have sold him because the order would have been too small. These asses that parading as university graduates and so on and so forth, I say that they are fake. Understand that they are fake. They are charlatans, they are quacks, they are frauds, and they are taking our monies by false pretense and spending it with a high degree of profligacy, willy-nilly, helter-skelter, only attempting, of course, to give friends, family, through nepotism, cronyism, under the guise of political patronage. I say to them that all of them are guilty of stealing from the poor, and the very poor among us, including at the level of the Ministry of Social Development.
Chairman Lynch was very clear. He said what happened was not an act of God. You know what that means? It was not an act of God. So what can that be? What can that mean? What is left to be to understand? If it was not an act of God, then it was action or inaction of human beings.
That's right.
Not an act of God. Not an act of God. It was something that was done, not done. Act or action, omission. Munir explained it for us. And that is why that report must be made public as soon as possible. We must know what happened so we can avoid it from happening again. We must know what happened so where the blame lies. Dr. Munir called for corporate manslaughter. Wherever the blame lies, they should take that blame. But we must never ever forget, as he told us, we must never forget, because we make sure it doesn't happen again. Because if we don't learn from our mistakes, we are doomed to repeat these same mistakes of the past. Several other reports have been hidden away. The CLICO report. I filed a freedom of cause to be filed a FOIA to find out what happened to that CLICO report. The Prime Minister came in the Parliament years ago and he said what? He said, no, we're not making it public. I'm passing it to the Attorney General and the DPP for them to see if there's any criminal conduct. Don't wait to find out criminal conduct. Publish the report, put it out on the public, let people see that report now. You cannot abscond and hide that report as you've done with so many others. And that CLICO report up to today has not seen the light of day. You know why? We speculate. We ask, is it because PNM persons were implicated in that CLICO report?
Only because
Remember
of
Faris
that.
Al-Rawi, I'm not saying he's implicated. That same Faris Al-Rawi
I say
was
so
working with
only
CLICO in
because
one
of
of the
that.
branches.
Singular reason.
Can't remember
Having
exactly
regard to
where,
the
but in
pattern
one
of these
vision of
people.
that he was there.
Once PNM
He was
involved,
implicated in that regard that he was
Rowley
a member.
defending the
I do not say there
indefensible.
was any criminal
We're going to
conduct
get you,
by him.
Rowley.
But we want to know
We're gonna
why
get
up
the
to today
entire
you're
cabinet.
hiding that report. When
I
so
assure
many people
you.
suffered now, with this report people died. With this incident, with that report people lost their money. People lost money. Up to today, they have not been able to recover that money from when Clico sank. So, Mr. Rowley, give instructions so you're acting. In fact, that fellow should win an Oscar nomination. An Oscar for acting on so many occasions, call him Impotent. He's a great actor. He's acted because why? As I Rudy told you, and I will tell you, the frequent flyers always flying out the country. Doesn't have time to govern here. So
I think we have reached about just above halfway, and I think I will not do justice to the presentation if I continue, and it will take about half an hour again. So I say, as I promised, both the Tobago, Miss Bernie, and the Kamla Persad-Bissessar will continue with on Saturday night. Yes, tomorrow night. No, sorry about that. But Saturday night. Yes, tomorrow is Friday, my day off. Don't forget. So on Saturday, I'll conclude Kamla Persad-Bissessar, and her presentation is important because we are entering an election year. The UNC is in election mood. We want to get the best candidate, of course, to serve Trinidad and Tobago. I say so from the context that both on the ground report and on the corridor transformation, we wanted the opportunity to critique, to examine those persons who are offering themselves because I think that we are in a unique position to, of course, say who more qualified, who is most qualified, and who is qualified, and indeed who will not be able to make the grade, having regard to what is required when the PNM and Rowley, that dastard criminal group, would have left office. You just have to watch at Balize House. I wonder how you sycophants feel. I wonder how you apologists feel. I wonder how you members feel. I know you're shame. I know you feel a sense of disgrace. I know you feel a sense of humiliation. I know that the excoriating remarks against your leader, a rapist and a pedophile, rank and unadulterated, and you don't know that he has not yet sent me a pre-action protocol letter for which I have been waiting for the past, 8 years? Well, of course, wait. I will make the next move, having already sent him a pre-action protocol letter. In it, I read it for you, and I'm going to read it again probably on Saturday, where I said to him in non-certain terms, calling you a blasted rapist, and there are people around you who are saying no, and your lawyer sent the station a letter denying that you are not a rapist. Well, bringing you to court because you are calling me a liar, and you come and prove that I am a liar. Because you're saying that I'm not speaking the truth about you, then you will have to come and prove that you didn't rape Miss Allen, you didn't have a child when she was age 17, and that 9 months before that she would have been around 16 years of age. And then at what age you were viciously not just molesting but invading and crippling the future of that young lady, then you being a teacher and in whom the moral and the ethical and the principles and values of the society were supposed to be endowed, and you were supposed to disseminate, and instead you use it like what you are using the government and our resources and the people for despicable, evil, wicked, diabolical, and of course most egregious and heinous conduct. Yes, indeed. So people, of course, don't forget tomorrow morning the ground report. Yes, I have a final mission, the ground report, and Andy, Mikey, and myself. But tomorrow night I will be absent. But of course, I thought we will not do justice if we did not, of course, mention and advocate for and be sympathetic to the cause that some kind of altruistic, some kind of philanthropical resource, financial, must be given to the survivors of the families of the survivors, and therefore the families of those persons who met their deaths in such horrendous conditions. Yes, in that, what I consider to be coffin pipeline by a government that clearly is prepared and is on a mission of political genocide, of political murders, of political destruction to everybody else because they simply control the treasury of the country and limping along under the laws that protects them and believe that they could get away with it in perpetuity. I say no. Listen to Mr. Lynch.
This was no act of God or mere unlucky accident. All the money that has been expended on the process so far, much more is almost certain to be spent before the families will see a single dime or dollar in compensation. It will not sit well with everybody. There may be those who will be disappointed. There may be those who will be outraged. And there may be those who will wish to challenge it. All they can do is to give it to everybody or nobody.
On February 25th, 2022, divers Rishi Nagisa, Kazim Ali Jr., Faisal Kurban, Yusuf Henry, and Christopher Boutram were doing maintenance work on a 30-inch underwater pipeline at Parias Berth 6 when they were suddenly sucked into the pipeline. Only Boutram survived. The Commission of Inquiry, he said, cost a total of $15.5 million.
This was no act of God or mere unlucky accident. All the money that has been expended on the process so far, much more is almost certain to be spent before the families will see a single dime or dollar in compensation. It will not sit well with everybody. There may be those who will be disappointed. There may be those who will be outraged. There may be those who wish to challenge it. Everybody or nobody.
Since I small, I always believe. Father Christmas was born on Christmas Eve. Since I small, I always believe. Father Christmas was born on Christmas Eve. When I was small, I used to hang up my stocking. So much of toys I used to get Christmas money. Now I'm big like a man. Last year, I hung up a rice bag in front of me door. Oh, me darling, Christmas morning, I wake up early. You see when Father Christmas put for me. He put a police in a short pants with a warrant for me for white men. You can bet the federal flag. Reading this make me hang on the rice bag. Why you think I do that? Because I thought I would have a thing on Santa Claus that when he passing with the reindeer and he spot me rice bag illegal. Spoiler is hungry. Let me put a couple roast pig in there for he never happened. The Christmas morning I wake up early. You see when Father Christmas put for me. He put a police like Jack Palance with a warrant for me for white maintenance. Oh Lord. I never see more in my life. How the man know that I doesn't mind my wife? Right away I start to study and decide the lawyers to make inquiry. I tie the police in the kitchen. I run down the road and I asking. I started to shake when I hear Mother New Year's give him the rake. Oh me darling, Christmas morning I wake up early. You see when Father Christmas bring for me. He bring a police and Jack Palance with a warrant for me for white maintenance. Oh Lord. Boys, yes, it is boy.
Walk on the friends from what they reaching for me do. With a box piece and a quattro, a violin and a banjo. They say they always had a plan to give me family a parent. They wake up my mommy right away when they ring out with the club way. My Jeffrey, oh, get up. Hey, like you are here, the neighbor cock crowing, oh girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, get up. Time to put on smoke in your kitchen, oh girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, wait up. I hope you know it's white oak a drinking, oh girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, get up. Yeah. Mommy put coffee on the fire, encouraging them to stay a little longer. Ham and bread on the table. Why don't she pull out a bottle? The music went in my neighbor head. He pull the old sax below his bed. Come across and join the bacchanal. They wouldn't stop singing at all. My Jeffrey, oh, get up. Hey, you were here, the neighbor cock crowing, oh girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, get up, get up, get up. My Jeffrey, oh. Ay, mira chiquita, yo quiero tu mucho. Ven acá que bailar conmigo. The carpet put down. When I leave this kitchen and I come out this evening, I drinking white, I drinking black, I drinking punch and drinking fat, I drinking Bacardi and cherry. I drinking anything, anything you give me. I drinking anything for this Christmas. I drinking anything for this Christmas. I drinking anything. I drinking white, I drinking black, I drinking punch and drinking fat, drinking Bacardi and cherry. I drinking anything, anything you give me. I drinking anything. I drinking anything. Every time, whenever this time comes, it's so hard fun. From ever since I like parang, because my father name is Wang. So don't be against me. It run in the family. From the time September come, I buy me rum and put it down. I drink it anything. I drink it anything. I drinking anything. I drinking white, I drinking black, I drinking punch and drinking fat, drinking Bacardi and cherry. I drinking anything, anything you give me. I drinking anything. Christmas is not an excuse, but when I'm taking me booze, it's just that anyway I pass, somebody must hand me a glass. Then why should I say no? When sweet balangs are to flow, when them quattros are to strum, it encourage you to drink rum. I'm drinking anything for drinking white, a drinking black, a drinking punch and drinking fat, a drinking Bacardi and cherry.
I'm drinking anything.
Anything you give me.
I'm drinking anything.
Yeah. Baila.
I'm drinking anything.
For the Christmas in a Riemann, somewhere up in Mount Pleasant, I was among a big family, eating and drinking what I want, dancing, singing, having a good time. Every time a parent play, but Uncle Sam to see me, I ain't a young lady, pull me by the back door and he said, you feel bright,
that they're walking here tonight.
If it's tight, you take.
That they're walking here tonight.
Walk on, take it light.
That they're walking here tonight.
Like you're doing that first night.
That they're walking here tonight.
She's a Martinez.
That is your family.
This one here is right.
That is your family.
You see that one day she's Lopez.
That is your family.
And that one day is Valdez.
That is your family.
You feel bright.
That they're walking here tonight.
Talk on, take it light.
That they're walking here tonight. That they're walking here tonight.
Baila.
That they're walking here tonight.
Shock boy, I start to stomach. Santos, I'm not on that. He say, well, it's more than half an hour. I'm watching you under me felt hot. Dumb drunk, but I'm a no damn fool. I know a man when I see one. This is why I'm telling you. Tonight you better change your plan. You feel bright.
That you're walking here tonight.
Cock out, take it light.
That you're walking here tonight.
You're doing that for spite.
That you're walking here tonight.
If it's tight, you tight.
That you're walking here tonight.
See that one?
That is your family.
You see that one there?
That is your family.
You see that one going so?
That is your family.
That one sit down right there.
That is your family.
You feel bright. That they're walking here tonight. Come by, take it light.
That they're walking